Many times when we come up with an idea for a speech, we struggle to organize it into that 5 to 7 minute window that many of our speeches require. For example, I one time had an idea to do a speech on ballroom dancing. Once I jotted down all of my ideas, I had about 15 topics that would take about an hour to present, and it was not organized at all. So today I'm going to walk you through how to organize that speech idea into a 5 to 7 minute speech. The first thing you want to do is come up with your topic. And when you have that, draw out an outline of the body of the speech listing your subtopics. You want to limit that to 3. 3 is a magic number because that gives you time to properly address each topic in a 5 to 7 minute speech without rushing. Once you have those topics, which need to relate to the topic, they need to stand on their own but relate to each other, but be powerful enough to give. You want to limit it to about 1 to 1.5 minutes per topic. That will make the body of your speech around 3 to 4.5 minutes long. Gives you plenty of time to add the introduction and conclusion later. The next step is to add power sentences. You're going to expand on these topics. And to me, if I want to add power to my speech, I go back to the Competent Communicator Manual, speech number 4, How to Say It. It gives you ideas that will lend power to your speech, and if you list certain sentences out that you memorize, it will help you greatly. The first one that it talks about is to use things that apply to your senses. So if you can add a smell, the aroma of the coffee wafting through the air. People can almost smell the coffee. Or if you're talking about how something feels, you use your gesture and you explain the feeling. Those senses will really make it powerful for the audience. They will feel like they're there. So add those, and you want to write that down because those sentences you need to have as close to the way you thought them up as possible. The other power sentences have to do with rhetorical devices. This is where you would use a simile, where you compare two things using like or as, or a metaphor where the comparison is just inferred. You also have alliterations, where you stress the same syllable of multiple words that sound alike. Onward and upward. Hallowed halls. Those are examples. And then the last one of these devices is what's called the triad. It's where you put your thoughts in expressions of 3. For some reason, when we do that, it adds drama to that sentence and it makes it more memorable. So in the dancing example, I might say, if you follow this, it will enable your dancing to be with grace, style, and elegance. It's putting those 3 words together to form that triad. Now that you have the body of your speech, we're going to work our way into the introduction. And I like to do it after the body because your intro has to relate to the topic. You have to know what that topic is in order to do that. So with your introduction, catch the audience's attention. This might be by posing a question, stating a quote, or even coming up with a nice anecdote. But it needs to get their attention, draw them in, and also lay the foundation of what the topic actually is. Limit that to 1 minute. Now you're ready for probably the most important part of a speech, the conclusion. The conclusion has to tie everything together. I like to tie it back to the introduction if at all possible. If you do that, it wraps the whole speech together and makes a nice package. But it has to include the highlights of the body. You have to say, this is what the speech was about and this is why it was important and I want you to go with this. In a lot of speeches, you can even incorporate a call to action where you say, do this. That's what I did with the dancing speeches. I organized it using all of these methods. Instead of one speech that had 15 topics, I could break it down into 5 speeches of 3 topics apiece. And you know what? Each of those speeches were more powerful on their own than if I had grouped all the different topics together. Had an introduction that caught people's attention, related to the dance itself. And then when I concluded, I tried to tie everything back together. Now, next time you have an idea for a speech, follow this, and you will find out that the organization takes care of itself. And it easily falls into that 5 to 7 minutes because you have 3 to 4.5 minutes for the body, 1 minute for the intro, 1 minute for the conclusion. At a minimum, you're at 5 minutes. At a maximum, you're at 6.5 with 30 seconds for embellishment or transitions. Let me know how it works.